Claudette Colvin was born in 1939 in the heart of the Jim Crow South. Montgomery, Alabama, was a city starkly divided along racial lines. Segregation was deeply entrenched, dictating every aspect of life for African Americans. Colvin, growing up in this environment, experienced firsthand the injustices and indignities of segregation. She attended Booker T. Washington High School, where she excelled in her studies. Her teachers, recognizing her intelligence and thirst for knowledge, nurtured her burgeoning awareness of social issues. Colvin's understanding of the inequalities faced by African Americans was not merely academic. She witnessed the daily humiliations endured by her community. The segregated buses, with their designated sections for whites and blacks, were a constant reminder of the prevailing racial hierarchy. Black passengers were often forced to stand, even when there were empty seats in the white section. The injustice of this system fueled Colvin's growing sense of indignation. The year 1955 marked a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. The landmark Brown versus Board of Education ruling had declared segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This victory, however, was met with fierce resistance in the South. Montgomery, in particular, became a battleground for civil rights. It was against this backdrop of simmering tensions that Claudette Colvin, a 15-year-old high school student, would make her own stand against segregation. On March 2nd, 1955, 9 months before Rosa Parks' iconic act of defiance, Colvin boarded a crowded city bus. As she made her way to the back, the designated section for black passengers, the bus driver ordered her to give up her seat to a white woman. Colvin, emboldened by her convictions and the lessons of her teachers, refused to move. This act of defiance would have far-reaching consequences, not only for Colvin's life, but for the course of the civil rights movement itself. The bus driver, enraged by Colvin's refusal, called the police. 2 officers boarded the bus and forcibly removed Colvin from her seat. She was arrested and charged with violating the city's segregation laws, disturbing the peace, and assaulting a police officer. The last charge stemmed from Colvin's resistance during the arrest. She was handcuffed, taken to jail, and held for several hours before being released into the custody of her pastor. The incident on the bus sent shockwaves through Montgomery's African-American community. Here was a young woman, barely more than a child, who had dared to challenge the entrenched system of segregation. Colvin's act of defiance, though seemingly small, was a powerful symbol of resistance. It resonated with many who had endured the indignities of segregation for far too long. Colvin's arrest, however, was met with mixed reactions from civil rights leaders in Montgomery. Some, impressed by her courage, saw her as a potential symbol of the movement. Others, however, were hesitant to embrace her as a public figure. Colvin's age, her unmarried status, and her dark skin tone were all factors that made some leaders wary of the attention her case might attract. Despite the reservations of some, Colvin's case garnered legal support from prominent civil rights attorneys. Fred Gray, a young lawyer who would later represent Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King Jr., agreed to take on her case. Gray, along with other lawyers, saw in Colvin's case an opportunity to challenge the constitutionality of bus segregation in court. Colvin's case became part of a larger legal challenge to Montgomery's bus segregation laws. The case, Browder versus Gayle, was filed on behalf of 5 African American women, including Colvin, who had been arrested for refusing to give up their seats on city buses. The lawsuit argued that the city's segregation ordinances were unconstitutional, violating the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection under the law. The Browder versus Gayle case wound its way through the courts, facing numerous legal hurdles and delays. Colvin's testimony in the case was crucial. She provided a first-hand account of the humiliation and degradation she experienced on that fateful day on the bus. Her testimony, along with that of the other plaintiffs, painted a stark picture of the realities of segregation and its impact on the lives of African Americans. On June 5th, 1956, the Federal District Court in Montgomery ruled in favor of the plaintiffs in Browder versus Gayle. The court declared the city's bus segregation laws unconstitutional. This victory was a major turning point in the civil rights movement, marking the first successful legal challenge to bus segregation in the South. The case was appealed to the Supreme Court, which upheld the lower court's ruling on December 17, 1956. The Supreme Court's decision in Browder versus Gayle was a landmark victory for the civil rights movement. It effectively ended bus segregation in Montgomery and throughout the South. The ruling also served as a legal precedent for future challenges to segregation in other areas of public life. Claudette Colvin, though largely unknown at the time, had played a pivotal role in this historic legal battle. Despite her courageous act of defiance and her contribution to the Browder versus Gayle case, Claudette Colvin's role in the civil rights movement was largely overshadowed by Rosa Parks. Parks' arrest on December 1st, 1955, for refusing to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, a pivotal event in the struggle for civil rights. There were several reasons why Colvin did not become the face of the movement in the same way that Parks did. Some historians argue that civil rights leaders felt that Parks, a 42-year-old seamstress with a more respectable image, would be a more palatable symbol for white America. Colvin, on the other hand, was a teenager from a working-class background. She was also unmarried and pregnant, which made some leaders wary of the negative attention her personal life might attract. Despite not receiving the same level of recognition as Parks, Colvin's contribution to the movement was significant. Her act of defiance, 9 months before Parks's, demonstrated that the spirit of resistance was alive and well in Montgomery. Her testimony in the Browder versus Gayle case was also instrumental in the legal victory that ended bus segregation in the city. Though her story was not widely known for many years, Colvin never sought fame or recognition for her actions. She understood the importance of the movement and was content to play her part, even if it meant remaining in the background. This is what separates being a hero from completing a heroic act. It's a lifestyle, not a moment of glory. It's an ethos that exists no matter if behind closed doors or on public display. And it is with this understanding that I know Claudette Colvin is a true American hero. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, stay curious and shine brightly.